Friday, everyone. My name is Monica. I am the director for the San Diego Military Family Collaborative. Thank you all so much for coming, and thank you for the flexibility. I know that we've been just jumping around at different locations, so it's fantastic to see people come and be able to just like network and commune all together. And just the whole objective is to engage, to educate, and to just like network so that all of us are doing this together. Today's topic is on the move, preparing for deployment. So we have these posters right here, as I mentioned before. If you want to put your comments, your experiences, any experiences that you've known that your clients have been, that would be fantastic. Next slide, please. Okay, and then next slide. Okay, so this convening is hybrid. It's unfortunately kind of, I think it's only going to pick up the audio. It's not going to pick up the visual. But people just know that the audio is being recorded, and we're planning on putting that up on YouTube so that anybody can hear. People in the online universe we have at least one participant that is in the room with us. If you have a question, please raise your hand, because I will bring this mic over to you. We've noticed that when we do the recording, it's very difficult to hear the audience's question, so I'll hand that mic over. Next slide, please. Okay, so today's agenda, we're going to have a hip pocket class by Vanessa. She is going to be going over the deployment cycle. We're going to have a panel and a Q&A session. And what even though for those that are new, we do a panel, but it's really more like a fireside chat. You know, we have some questions prepared, but we also want the audience to really engage and ask questions also, because this is a space for everybody to learn, not only the audience, but also the panelists. You know, so we've had a few times where panelists were like, oh, I didn't know that was a concern, or that would be, that's a good idea, you know, I'll take that back, you know. So this is a good way for just people to engage with each other. We're gonna do announcements, the collaborative announcements, and then we're gonna do community announcements. If you don't know what the community announcements is, that is members of the community, you can pop up and do a 1-minute spiel on any programs or events that y'all are having. It doesn't have to pertain to the theme of the month. It can be anything. It could be like, oh, we've got a play group coming up, you know, or we've got this coming up, and you could just pop up. And why we like to have that towards the end is because then we're going to end it, and that's the opportunity to network and connect. So the thought process is, oh shoot, you know, Danny has a really cool program that I'm super interested in. I'm going to connect with him after the convening. So that's the whole point of having that community. Oh, hello, Microsoft Edge. Your email and your tablet. Oh yeah, no, my computer has a mind of its own, so you have to excuse my computer. Other than that, I'm going to actually pass it over to Vanessa. Vanessa, come on down.
Oh, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. So before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Vanessa Burce, and I'm a working family life consultant over at Naval Base Coronado. I've been a military spouse for a long time, over 20 years. Some of you have heard my story that have worked with me, but obviously the topic is on deployment. And so really ultimately, I'm really passionate about being here. It's an honor to be speaking with you. You know, I'm not an expert in the subject, so I'll talk from experience. And my first deployment experience came after geo-batching. My husband joined the Army, so went to San Diego State while we were geo-batching, and gone for about a year and a half. And then he went on a deployment to Iraq, which I had no clue what an infantry or mortar guy meant until he had come back. So he was gone when our son was 2 years old, and came back when he was 5. So we saw him 3 times for 2-week blocks, right? And so that was my experience, and was not really fond of the military at the time, and it took me a very long time to recover. But it was that last deployment actually, and it took one number. It took only one number to set the Vanessa spark that people know of today. And it was that my husband gave me a volunteer, right? And that number started military OneSource. And military OneSource started that budget planning, right? And that budget planning started that life coach, right? And it just kept going and going. And I'm living proof that today what you're about to learn, whether it's the organizations to help veterans or spouses or kids, like ultimately we're all in this together. You know, we don't have to do this alone. So whether you're a spouse, you know, you've gone on multiple deployments or you don't know anything about what we really go through, like I hope you learned something today and just take one number. Just one number today, you know, to network with someone else and maybe think outside the box of what your organization can provide those families, right? And there has been living proof of that, you know, from USO Connections and hiring spouses and employment. Like I am here because of all those programs. So in 2015 went off and running. And I will say because of that, that deployment was amazing. You know, just that connection, that community. I believe in what we do. And so thank you for having me again today. And we're going to talk about the deployment cycle. So the emotional cycles of deployment, there is 4 phases. Okay, and so you can go into the next slide. So I only have 15 minutes to go into this. All right, so like I can talk really fast, like blah, 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 and I get it, so I have to slow down. All right, so the deployment cycle, there's going to be 4 phases. There's your right before you leave, the pre-deployment phase. You got your deployment phase, we're in it, like it's going, it's happening, right? And then we got that post-deployment, right when they get back, you know? And then that reintegration maybe starts to stabilize. We're going to talk about each one and what that means. Hopefully you get to learn something new, or maybe some emotions do come up because you've been there, right? And next. Has anybody seen this before? Yeah, raise your hand, yeah. Right? And for those that haven't, you know, each of these stages, you know, we got the pre, during, and after stage. So that stage 1 is that anticipation of departure. We'll go into more detail in each. You'll have actually a flyer that kind of goes into more detail. And then you got your detachment and withdrawal, right? Emotional disorganization is happening during deployment phase, recovery, civilization, you know, getting ready right before they come back from deployment. And then the return and renegotiation, integration, and stabilization. Again, these are the 7 stages of the deployment, the emotional cycle of deployment. Okay. No, you're good. So check this out. So on the anticipation of departure stage 1, right? Can you kind of think about that being an accurate time frame, right? 4 to 6 weeks. You know, it's coming up. They're actually training. Service members and their families are all going to have different feelings, right? Each of them are going to go through different emotions. Whether you had parents, single sailors, kids, parents, right? So each of these might be a little different, but they're planning. They're planning for those checklists, right? What are the legal documents that they got to take care of? Wills, trust, there's just a lot that goes into that. So the service members focus, they're going, they got to get ready, they got ready to go, right? And then getting their affairs ordered. So there's a lot of behaviors that go into that. And then the feelings. You know, if it's that first deployment, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going on. So there may be some fear, there may be some anger, resentment. Next. All right, so the detachment and withdrawal, it's kind of one of those things where you start having people maybe get a little bit more intense, you know, so it's closer to that deployment. It's the final days right before, you know, reality sets in. Now you're like, okay, fine, go. Okay, you know, maybe a little bit more attention and fighting. Kids may not know what's going on, right? There's some sadness, there's loneliness, a fear, and maybe not even knowing what to do right before. Like, especially if it's that first experience. But if you've been through it, you kind of already know, like, what that's going to look like. You know? Does anybody want to add to this? Thanks. And then Murphy's Law. I don't know about you, but if, you know, something breaks, always. I remember it was, I kept getting locked out of my car, you know, I can't sleep, it's you know, a lot of sleep. For the service member that's out, you know, up tempo, it's going, high stress, depending on what they're doing. If it's soldier, it's a constant, maybe at that time for my husband was combat, you know, it was constant combat and training. For those that are out to sea, you know, that's a whole different dynamic there too, right? They're constantly hearing noise. When do they sleep? Depending on that rotation, how many hours are they going, right? When they maybe get a little bit of rest, it's like, you got to get back up, you know, do the same thing over and over again, right? So adjusting to those new responsibilities, routines, feeling alone, right? overwhelmed with worry, confused. When am I going to talk to them again? Right? Back then technology was a little different, right? Maybe you got an email, maybe. Now there's a lot more technology, which is nice, but we can prepare for some of those. We didn't know what was going on initially when I was younger. We just didn't. Now you got apps, really good to communicate prior to going on deployment. What is that communication style going to be like? Confused, initial sense of relief, guilty over family and friends living behind. That's a service member. I mean, ultimately, they don't want to leave their family. They don't want to leave their friends. They want to leave that world, right? But this is what they're trained to do. Right? One of the big things I will always say is getting stuck in this, like, I just feel alone. We always say, like, at this time, if you're going 30 days or longer, and it just feels like this heavy weight you can't get out of, we gotta ask for help, right? We gotta ask for help. And just to reiterate or emphasize, actually, that all these feelings that we're going through are normal. At this time, I've had sailors actually be like, can you share this with my spouse? The spouse might be in a whole different state, because just letting her know that this is okay, but the feelings that we're having is normal, right? And that's so huge. I love that. So, and I'm glad to be able to share this with service members right before and then during, and we have those family members that can understand that it is normal. Your feelings are valid. The feelings that kids are going through is valid. Next. All right, 4 to 6 weeks. Anybody been through a homecoming, right? Coming back, all those feelings. Maybe prior to that, you're getting the house cleaned up, right? Everything needs to be in order. Right? And so for us, we're really preparing for that. So after they've come back, it is also an adjustment. For those that have stayed home, take care of kids, or take care of affairs, they've already built a routine, right? And then coming back to add someone else, even if it is the parent, it's still something new. Now you have to adjust. You have to communicate, like, okay, maybe the parental role needs to be delayed a little bit, okay? I can't just come up in here and charge, But that does happen because they want to be involved, And it is, again, it's normal. But new support services are developed, adjusting to changing dynamics. Maybe there isn't a positive outlook. Maybe they're starting to work on things that they never thought they could. For me, I learned a sense of independency. I learned to just be myself, and that's huge. So, and originally in the first deployment, I didn't really realize what my son was going through. We're so young that I was so focused on my emotions. I didn't know at that time who to go to, but today there's somewhere to go to, and kids can go to and connect with military kids. So it's super awesome. Even parents, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, I always say, we're really having that confidence to say, like, I could do this. I can do this. It's huge. Next. All right, so this is the one, right? I'm saying you got to complete the project, school before return. You're anticipating, it's kind of like those butterflies in the stomach. Maybe we're getting nervous, but maybe it's not. Maybe sometimes there is anxiety before they return. Maybe they left on not so good terms, right? It does happen. Maybe there's a new child for the service member they never even met. But some of the things that I've learned from families and how they stay connected is so creative. It's like, wow, people make it work. And they really do. It's so creative. Hopefully, and it's just really some of the changes that come about when they do return. Talking about the parental roles, talking about what they are going to do when they come back. Are they going to want some rest? Are they maybe just time away in space? Are you going to have a date night? Do you even want to meet your parents when you get back, right? It's very overwhelming after coming from a return. Anybody experience that? It can be very overwhelming for the service member, for the kids. Why doesn't my kid know me, right? And people come back different after the deployment, right? I remember that like it was yesterday. I think even now deployment is such a, interesting topic that it's coming up for my husband, things I never even knew. Kind of interesting that, and again, but there is some excitement, there's nervousness, and we're going to talk about all those resources pre, during, and after that anybody can benefit from, right? And please, let me know if I missed anything. Okay, next. All right, so they've arrived, they're renegotiating relationship, renegotiating responsibilities. Children are adjusting. As my son was older and then you got toddlers, each kid is different. I don't know about you, but we're all different. You know, you have personalities of kids, you know, maybe that older child did take on some more responsibilities, right? Someone else was maybe a caregiver, you know, taking on that responsibility. You know, so really having to renegotiate the relationships, the responsibilities. I always tell people that when they're coming back, if possible, if you've had a deployment before, then you kind of know what may work and what didn't work. Yeah. Most people are really happy, but some people may come home and not have a family to come home. And that can be that's a big struggle. So every experience, every background, you know, every family has a different and unique experience. And we just want to meet people where they're at. Whether you're an organization or you're a family member, we just want to meet you where you're at. But again, this is all normal for the service member, for those that are serving our country and those that are here at home, children and families. Okay, next. And then stage 7, you know, you've had some time. Not always do we get about 6 months. Maybe they have to go right back out and train. Does that happen? No, you do. You're like, wait, you know? That first deployment, maybe it was different, obviously, from the 10th deployment. I've had people who, like, half of the relationship they were out to sea. It does happen. And maybe it gets easier, maybe it doesn't. But returning to previous routines, the interests outside of work. Now you're like, whether the experience is good enough, anticipating that next deployment. Are we emotionally connected? Do we have some resentment before we even leave the next time? So what are those tools in between each stage? All right, pre, during, and after. So fleet family, I know we're going to be on the panel and talk about all these things. Again, just take one phone number. Fleet family is a one-stop shop for anything pre, during, and after deployment, but we do so much more. You know, we want to have those conversations with a spouse and say, hey, like, how can I help you? How can I support you? You know, no matter what stage in the deployment you're at. And we have a lot of people on our team that have been there, done that, and are such a great network of support. So if I don't know the answer, guess what? I know someone else who can help. You know, so thank you to all the organizations that are able to be here and communicate that to family members during these times that are very stressful. Thanks. Okay, so I know it's me here speaking, but we have a whole team at Coronado. We got Abraham, we got Stephanie, we got Zelina. And if you're out, you know, listening in, this QR code, there have been people in the military that have never even been on this website, no matter where they're at, right? You can go on this website, Navy Life Southwest. You got workshops and classes for deployment. I got, you know, webinars for emergency assistance. Maybe you're transitioning, you're, you know, looking for employment, a skill bridge. Anything that you could think of military life, you can go on Navy Life Southwest here, but every region has one. You have MWR, fitness classes that are going on, events that are free, single sailors and community events that are going on, school liaisons, anything that you could think of. Just go on this QR code. And there's a phone number there. You can schedule with any one of us at our locations. All right, so this is our team at Coronado. I will say we're amazing, but I know there's other people here who might say, you know, otherwise, but hey, right? Like, don't you dare. Right? But I know Awfully and family, the mission is the same, right? To help family members thrive, not surviving the military, right? Okay, so next. There's a phone number. Oh, man. All right, so that's the phone number, 866-923-6478. There's a brother, sister, and uncle who may not have base access, but they want to get involved. Guess what? They could go to our off-base locations. Kearney Mesa Branch, Baby Hills, Gateway Village, Yes Sir, Mesa. We don't have the bus anymore. Floated away during the last rainy season. Okay. Right? I always say, you know, military OneSource is 24/7. We have military OneSource here. I love military OneSource. And I always tell people, you know, they are 24/7. Anywhere in the world. We're just 7:30 to 4:30. You know, ultimately, we're your one-stop shop for anything military life. And then, obviously, you need base access at Coronado, Puerto Rico, and Naval Base San Diego. I know we're going to learn so much more, so I really just want to thank you for allowing me to even talk about deployment. Everybody's unique experience is huge, so I'd like to learn from you too. So thank you so much for having me. Oh my goodness, I see I'm motivated.
Vanessa, you motivate me. Thank you so much for that. Super educational. I mean, just to know the fact that you are not alone in how you feel. I mean, that right there is just, I personally feel like that is just money because, you know, half the anxiety is thinking that you're in this alone and by yourself. when you know that it is very common and it is very normal to feel a particular way, that, and that there are people there to help you, that just increases the chance of you being able to not just survive, but thrive, like Vanessa said. Next slide, please. We're going to hop into our panelists. So I'm gonna pass you over to our moderator. So our moderator is Mary Hudson, and she's with the Yellow Ribbon Fund. And she's first of all, she's one of our council members. She's super involved in the community. She's also a military spouse and gone through 4 deployments herself as well. So she'll be introducing the panelists and we'll be taking over.
Hello, thank you. All right, so we have 3 panelists, and I'm going to go ahead and call you guys up and introduce a seat right up here. First, we have Ramiro Favela, who's a center manager for the San Diego USO Airport Center, and he brings with him 12 years of experience working with nonprofits. He's passionate about working with men and women of the military and supporting them in their travels. For homecomings, so they also provide support for families and resources, as well as a place for them to form connections and even a place for volunteering. Some of the team's most notable accomplishments have been supporting new recruit movements, schoolhouse troop movements, supporting deployments and homecomings, and other military-focused events for active duty service members and their families. Ramiro and his team are also passionate about finding different ways they can support active duty service members and retirees and their families. I'm going to take a seat. And we also have David Borrelli, who is with military OneSource. And David has served 20 years in the U.S. Marine Corps and retired as a first sergeant in 2024 after retirement. Congratulations. Thank you. Over the course of his career, he completed 3 deployments, 2 to OIF and 1 to OEF. Originally from Lake Arizona, he now lives in San Diego with his wife and their 2 dogs, and is very passionate about connecting service members and their families to resources that they need and ensuring that those who defend their country are well supported. So thank you for being here. And last but not least, you've already met her, is Vanessa Burce, who is our work and family life consultant with Elite Family Support Services at Coronado. And she has been the work and consultant at Coronado since 2023. She's also an active duty military spouse at home for free. She brings a lot of personal experiences with the unique challenges of military life, including multiple deployments. And she provides expert consultation and support to military commands, offering information, resources, and referrals at every stage of deployment, pre, mid, and post-deployment. And she has a deep passion for supporting military families, dedicated to alleviating the stress and challenges that they may face, helping them navigate their journey with resilience and confidence. Yay. So welcome.
Good to see you. I know.
All right, so this is almost kind of fireside chat-like, so I'll ask a question, and then you can each go ahead and give a response. So the first question I have for you guys is, what programs or events do you provide that support military families while the service member is deployed? And how do those programs encourage resilience for families to thrive during the transitional period of deployment?
You want me to start?
So I can take this one. So, all right. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. All right. So my name is Ramiro Favela. I am from the San Diego USO. So San Diego actually has 2. Wait, double mic it.
That was the order.
Gotcha. So Ramiro Favela here from the San Diego USO. In San Diego, we actually have 2 centers that are quite different from one another. But again, they do provide support for their families for active duty, depending on what their needs are. So the one in San Diego at the airport, we focus a little bit more on deployed military, but also families as well. Since it's a big community around the airport, we have a lot of events that support the military family and kiddos as well. So we're trying to implement something like Wellness Wednesdays, coffee connections for the military spouses, what we call special delivery. It's sort of like baby showers for the military spouses that are expecting, might have had a newborn already. So we're trying to make sure that we have a space for them to connect and make sure they're not isolated, to make sure they have that connection with other people that are going through the same emotions, kind of what the cycle you just mentioned, Vanessa. So again, creating that connection, making them feel that they're not alone, they're part of something greater than themselves sometimes, right? So again, the center is obviously a brick and mortar location, but again, we try to operate outside those four walls to make sure we create connections, bring family in, and help wherever possible. So we do a lot of those events outside of the center, but also we do support a lot of deployments and homecomings as well, just to make them feel better as well, to have a little bit of support for their families and making sure everybody's feel welcome or has a great deployment.
So Military OneSource has a plethora of resources, so I won't bore you with all of them, but I'll go one personal, one professional. The Military OneSource is most famously known for their non-medical counseling, and also understanding that just a deployment is unique. Depending on what that service member is doing or what they're not doing and what you are not doing as the stay-at-home spouse, having somebody there to talk about something at all is really, really important. And being 24/7, 365 worldwide is really important for Military OneSource because it's where our customers are. So that is something that we always want to remind people of, specifically during a stressful time like a deployment, because you don't know what's coming. You can have the best plan, something's going to happen no matter what, I promise. But having the resource of that there's somebody there that's going to answer the phone is really, really important. Professionally, on the other side, and Vanessa gleaned this earlier, is that with the SECO program, the spouse employment career opportunities. So if that's something to keep the spouse busy, we're in a resource for those things. And there's the resource finder is for the kiddos as well. So one of the most important things I can always give as a resource from Military OneSource is the resource finder. It's on the very top. You click the suitcase and you can type in anything you want. You can type in horses. You can type in babysitting. You can type in food bank, and it will give you everything around you in your center.
For deployment, counseling is, usually a stop that people come in for, right? To be able to talk to someone. We'll meet them where they're at, no matter if they're in a different state. We do virtual counseling, so we offer that. In-house counseling, organizations like, Military OneSource or others in the community. If they have kids, United Through Reading is one that I usually share with them. I mean, such a huge one. Parents that have been able to utilize that prior to deployment and during deployment to stay connected is always huge. New parent support, during that 0 to 4 age, if they have a child in those ages, providing even that during deployment. Life skills, maybe they're having to work on mindfulness and meditation, how to reduce stress or communicate. Anything that you could think of, I would say someone would sit with me and maybe they just need to vent. Maybe they just need someone to talk to and know that, hey, look, at least I know I could talk to you and you would be able to guide me in the right direction. And sometimes that's all it takes, that plain family. So again, we just meet anybody from employment, like you said, counseling, life skills, exceptional family member programs, and classes, anything.
Thank you. And the next question we have are, what are your best tips for family members and caregivers to stay connected to communication during deployment? So this could be phone call, email, requests for emergencies, video chats. And how reliable are those communication connections? And how can families stay emotionally connected during the deployment when communication is limited? Start over here.
I think technology's obviously been good. I remember spouses even sharing and just family members sharing. Care packages is always great. So we have care packages, we have Operation Gratitude. Those are always great to boost morale while away. And preparing for those times when they're not communicating. So I've heard parents or, maybe there's an occasion that's coming up on deployment. Maybe there is an event, maybe someone may feel sad or lonely or needs to laugh. So I've heard people do note cards. I know Military OneSource does the resiliency cards, and I've used that. No matter how long you've been married, you still need to communicate, right? Even when you're close, but when you're apart, having those note cards to be able to open during deployment is huge. I've heard some of those for families as far as staying connected even when they can't. But communicating prior, like when is that time to communicate? Sometimes it is limited, they're already tired. I've heard that emails that come through may not come in order. So some would put 1, 2, 3. I didn't have that situation, but people that share with me today, it's like, that's what's worked, because they may get an email that didn't come till later. Facebook Messenger works great. I know we use that. But again, there's so many tools today, and finding those. So again, we can sit with people and kind of think outside the box.
I know you're asking about during deployment, but
Yeah.
what's really, really important is to establish a lot of these things before the deployment. Understanding what to expect during the deployment is going to be the biggest space for both parties in this very journey, the journey that you're traveling separately but together. One of the tools we have is a relationship building app that we provide for free through Military OneSource. That is something you can do during. You can do it before. You can keep doing it over and over. Letters and care packages are something that I would really, really encourage to know how to build them and know what that person is going to want to receive. What we saw a lot of during the war on terror was a bunch of people with really good intentions sending us things that we didn't want or need.
Right.
So make sure you're communicating with specifically your family member or your person. What do they need? What do they like? And what would be a good surprise? What isn't great all the time? The expectations for a service member and for a spouse, they're different. A lot of what we didn't do 20 years ago was talk at all. So talking before and setting these expectations, and you will never understand what it's like to get something in the mail when you're overseas. So I really encourage those things, but you've got to talk. You've got to take advantage of all of the stuff that's going to happen before, because we're concentrating on what's happening while we're gone. We've got to strengthen we have to be proactive in these things and understanding the expectations, taking the resources that are going to help you communicate before and help build trust in those communications before, like counseling and MFLAX or whatever is going to work for your situation. You need to strengthen those bonds before they start to bend.
On the USO perspective, it's a little bit different where both of these resources are a little bit more personal with the specific commands. For the USO, it's a little bit more generic where people can come to us. For example, if we have someone that's on deployment that's near a USO, they can definitely go into a USO and do a reading program. So if you have a newborn kid or a newborn son or daughter, you can go ahead and read this specific book to your son or daughter. We'll record this video, we'll send them back to the families, and we'll actually send the book to the families as well so they can read along as well. So again, that's a good way of connecting over across, a vast distance. Another thing that we're trying to do is a little bit different. We did one already at the Carl Benson, is setting up a USO outside of the ship. So actually have a USO lounge area on the ship, so you're able to communicate, send messages as you just mentioned, video call if need be. So we'll actually create a lounge specific area that is not as like the other part of the ship. You have like the carpeting, you have like the faux fire pit area, you have your gaming area, your lounging area, your library, you can do all of that. So again, that's a new thing this USO is trying to do. So not just the brick and mortar centers here in the US or across the globe, but again, now also on ships as well. So that's a new thing that we're trying to focus on. Again, just echoing what you've already mentioned, basically. Another way that we can do that as well is the care package. You just mentioned that as well. There is if you log into the USO San Diego website, there is a request form you can fill out and say, I want to do a package delivery for our command. We can do a pre-deployment, we can do during deployment. Again, all it takes is just go into our website, fill out the request form, and then we can go ahead and make sure we utilize those items, right? Again, communication is key. So the best way to do it is always sharing communication. Again, stop by a USO, ask us what we can do, how we can help, and we'll try to make sure that happens for you and your family.
All right, thank you. So changing course a little bit, how would you recommend that a parent at home talks to their children about deployment? What should they tell them about when the service member parent returns? And do you have any tips for reintegrating a parent back into the household?
That's a big one. Oh, it is a good one. You wanna go? No, I remember this too, it's always tough conversations. For me as a parent, being mindful of the age, again, the child and the personality and the needs. I think for me and for parents in general, just being aware of where we're at. What have we done to be able to cope with that? Who have we spoken to go through that? And then building connection for that particular child for those resources. So they are going to school, school liaison is going to be huge. The military family life counselors, if they have little ones, 0 to 4, have someone come in the home to provide some of those conversations with someone else. And then even in our office or virtually, having those conversations, even TRICARE, like people don't really utilize TRICARE sometimes to have those counseling sessions and those benefits that service members have earned. As far as reintegrating, I think talking to others who have experienced it, We've gone through it. And again, having those conversations prior. But reintegrating for me, the more you are aware of the resources and you don't need them, that's great. But if you don't know the resources, that's like the most toughest thing. So I think reintegrating is going to be huge, and understanding what are the support networks that you have in the community, whether it's, fleeing family, whether it's military OneSource, whether it's counseling, whether it's for kids. I always say an activity that a child likes. I say these in the deployments. What does your child love to do? Is it reading? Is it drawing? Is it horseback riding? Those are the times to have a great conversation with the child, because they're in the most comfort stage. But again, it just depends on the child. And then asking those questions, and more importantly, validating what they're feeling and helping them feel a part of that, and praising them, because they sacrifice too. My son didn't even realize until like later on that he was a military child. They're the most resilient kids that you'll ever meet. They are so valuable in what they do to provide. Here they're heroes on their own. So April, military child is coming up. Huge. We want to be able to support the children and validate that and promote that. They are the success to when they come home, and reintegrating and communicating that prior to them coming home. If there is a delay, having those honest conversations, right, and getting the support that you need. And we've talked about some of those.
These are always highly circumstantial and specific. So the difficult thing here is just be as honest as you can with children. They're a lot smarter than we were, and they're aware of things that we weren't aware of.
Yeah.
So be as honest as you can circumstantially, and have a plan.
Yeah.
The thing that people I see the most struggle with is the not the leaving. The leaving is easy. It's the coming home and disrupting a 6 month or a year of routine that has now gone completely, and it's going to ruin everything except for the service members' routine. So knowing that you have a plan, knowing that plan is going to adjust, and knowing that you're going to have to adjust to the plan. This is not an easy life. And these are sometimes things we have to understand up front, that in the Marine Corps, I'm sure it's in other services too, we say the Marine wife is the hardest job in the Marine. We say these things for a reason. They're corny and outdated for a reason. This is hard. Reintegrating is hard. And I haven't even spoken about what it's like to come back as a service member, because depending on what that person did, that's its own bag of tricks.
Yeah.
So all of those things, to not go too far and say, have a plan, understand that we talk about things a little bit better now, push the service member to go and talk. We didn't talk about anything. All we care about is going back.
Yeah.
Hearing things like 10 years at sea, all we want to do is work. All we want to do, it's easier for us. We've got to build these communication things before, during, and after. And with the kids, be honest when you can, and do your best judgment. I don't have kids. I don't want to tell you how to parent your kids, but be honest when you can.
Perfect. On the USO perspective, we have a little bit more generic, outlook onto this, right? So if any military service member comes forward to us, or a military spouse partner, we'd go ahead and transition them over to our transitions program. So again, transition program has a lot of that coming home, deployment, continuing education, financial wellness as well, physical wellness as well. So again, what do I do? How do I make sense of all these fields that I have going on? Transitions program from the USO can definitely help them out. If it's something that we can help them out, thankfully we have wonderful partners that we have here today that we can refer them to, and at least give them a good starting point. So again, if someone comes to the USO, asks us a question, sends us a direct a DM, or wherever the case may be, we will be able to direct them either to someone internally, or again point them out to somewhere externally. Again, the bottom line here is to make sure that people have the service and that they need, and not make sure, it's just the USO branded. As long as they get the service they need, they get the attention they need, we are all in the same boat. So we want to make sure they get the services they get. So point them in the right direction.
And one last thing I forgot, we also offer the non-medical counseling for ages from, I think it starts at 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also a resource while everyone's deployed, to talk to kids before, during, and after.
Do we need any more? I think we covered everything.
Okay. What was it called? So, I was gonna say, does anybody have any questions? Or any comments or any experiences that you would like to share?
It only goes this far.
Sorry, I'm gonna take this guy over and bring him back.
Gotcha.
We only have 2, Mike. We can do.
That's okay. I mean, it might be.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
No. So my name is Marjorie. I'm one of the school liaisons with Child and Youth Programs. I just wanted to tag on, Miss Vanessa is amazing. I love you.
Oh, thank you.
She's amazing in all the families that she refers to that we refer to her, so shout out to her.
Yeah, thank you.
But I wanted to just mention also, when you asked the question about, different ways you can communicate with your child, utilize your child and youth programs.
Yes, yes.
So we offer sponsorship, right? Youth sponsorship, where you can call to the Youth and Teen Center or to the CDC and say you have a child who's 6 who's in kindergarten. I also have a kindergartner, and you want to pair these kids with one another so they can talk to kids who are their same age, who may be experiencing their same struggles, where they can have an honest conversation in an environment that's protected and, you know, obviously has its rules and regulations, and then they can talk to other youth about things that maybe mom understands, but she doesn't get it from that perspective, right? Or maybe mom is a service member, so there's youth sports, right? That's offered by the Marine Corps also. I think a lot of times, I can say as a parent, we are looking to fix the problem, and sometimes you just need to listen. Sometimes you just need to know what's going on and then add wherever you need to add, or, you know, let it be what it is and then see if it comes down. But one of the things you can do is definitely utilize youth sponsorship, so that your children can have friends, or they have siblings, maybe they can have their own friends, or just unique experiences to take their mind off of some of the pain or worry they may have. So that was all. I just wanted to make sure to plug that, utilize the youth program.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I stepped to.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Jamie. I've been working in this space of veterans work for about 15 years. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight is when you showed the slide of all the military things, those are services that are not available to the community. What I want to tell you is there is a whole wealth of services that are available at the state level. Here in the county, one of my tags is I'm on a military veterans advisory council to the board of supervisors. So the county of San Diego has military assistance offices throughout the community. They're open to you. There are so many behavioral health groups, all sorts of resources. So even though they can't come on base, we're part of the community. We can take advantage of all of those services as well. So please do that. We even have community partners like KPBS with the GI Film Festival, and other things there, other things that they do. So reach out to the community. Don't build that wall around yourself.
Thanks so much, Jamie.
Hi, I'm Christy. I'm a command support team member for a forward deployed submarine currently.
Volunteer.
So I know you guys addressed, you know, the family unit at home, parents, children, whatnot. We have a lot of parents of young sailors that are looking for resources. Since we're deployed, obviously the preparation phase is over, and now we're looking towards reintegration. And how can we help support these single service members and their parents who are here locally, some of them flying it out of town and looking for connection, support themselves?
During deployment, we hear this a lot with parents coming up to the resort. I didn't even know about the ombudsman. I didn't know they had a Facebook page, right? So parents do want to get involved. And so I think having that number to communicate with someone like even Fleet Family, they can actually call someone and ask for those resources. The ombudsman was a really great resource for parents. That's what we've always found. And to have someone like myself and people in the network, that if a parent is far, right, who do we connect them with too? So that's our goal, is to be able to have that care for the parent who's going through that. And we have, you know, my son's a young adult, so he has kids that are, I always call them kids, but they're in the military, they serve also. And even for those that are, for the single sailors, we say the MWR has a lot of single sailor programs. A lot of people don't know about that either. And so for the off-base locations, but again, like you said, that community outside, we connect those family members to that, and how they can even provide care packages and connecting, you know, maybe volunteering. So again, that communication is going to be key, just to have that number. FRG is usually ombudsman, again, outside community pros. Parents love that stuff. They want to get involved. Blue Star Families, yes, that's another one. I love Blue Star Families. Yes, and so, I mean, there's just so many. Anybody else? That, yeah.
Yes,
Sorry, I called on him and, you know.
I started cracking up because I was telling Mary, I'm like, hey, let's talk about Blue Star Family.
Yeah, Blue Star, I love Blue Star families. Yeah,
Thank you.
I love it.
Good morning, colleague is Patrick, former Waffle.
Yay.
Jamaican Convening now.
Yeah.
Other resources outside the military, you have your fleet reserves, you
Yeah.
have your American Legions, you have your VFWs. They're great for parents, single parents, or just to connect with
Yeah.
old sailors and new sailors and people who's been there and done that. So don't just drive past those places. They're there for you. I'm a past commander for both. So therefore, I know for sure that if you walk in that building, you're an active duty or you're a single parent in the military, we will serve you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, we have one more. Maybe it's faster if you just.
Thank you for what you're doing for your command. What I would offer to you too is one thing that we tend to forget about is those single sailors, single Marines, that when you come back from deployment, all the families are there, and those single Marines or single sailors are kind of, or parents, they're kind of just sitting there and just kind of like, okay, what's next? But especially if they don't have somebody that is there to support them when they get back. So one of the things that we integrated on some of my deployments when we came back is a lot of the military spouses went ahead and volunteered to make sure when they got back, they were at the barracks, you know, when they got to the barracks room, their beds were made, they had cookies, they had stuff, just basically welcome them back because they didn't have anybody there to support them. So great.
Thank you so much.
To answer her question some more.
Oh, there you go.
So one of the things that I do every week is I go to the MCRD family day and graduation. So one of the things I'm there to do is to talk to parents, because I'm not going to talk to service members. They're not talking to me. But I'm here to tell parents that Military OneSource exists. Just to be like, here's a card. And so when Johnny calls you in 3 months and he's sad, or when Susie calls you because she doesn't have anyone to talk to, tell them to call me. So sometimes just telling them, because the other thing I'm doing is I'm telling the parents to talk to you. So I'm trying to put them in your direction.
Yeah.
That's one resource I have for parents, is to have them call us. And then for single service members, just about everything that we're doing, that's one thing I didn't know while I was serving, was personal training and life coaching is all done for Military OneSource for free, and it can be done remotely. So for those that are on a submarine, there's a way to set it up so it's done through email and it's not over the phone or day to day. So there's a bunch of stuff we're doing online. I can chat with you in a little bit, but I'm either trying to get parents to talk to you, or I'm trying to get kids to realize, or young service members to realize there's a bunch of stuff on Military OneSource that we don't know about.
All right. Thank you to all of our, we got one more.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah. I prepare a little paper just because I tend to go off the rails if I don't, because I'm really passionate about this organization. My name is Danny Vanessa, Air Force Security Forces veteran. I'm also proud to represent the Armed Services Arts Partnership as the San Diego chapter coordinator. For your parents who are looking for things for your active duty members to do, we set up free arts classes to build social connections, to build, to cultivate that creativity, that resiliency that they need, and also to help them with expression, which through arts is honestly like the safest, most healthiest way to find a way to express yourself. You find yourself keeping it all in. As an active duty security forces member, I remember I had a lot of opinions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings that I could not get out when I was in. And that did something. You know, as you get out, you realize that your body gets stuck in that way. But at ASAP fosters creative communities where military connected individuals thrive through the arts. We serve active duty service members, veterans, military spouses, caregivers, children, siblings, even your active duty members' parents are here and they need some help. I remember when I was deployed, OIF, OEF, my dad was falling ill. There's nothing I could do for him. He wasn't my dependent. You know, there was no resources for him. ASAP allows us to we can also include them and they can benefit from our free classes as well and help build connections. So yeah, if you have a military connection, you belong here. Our programs are free, they're trauma informed and culturally competent. So we train our instructors on military cultural competency, battlefield mind, home field mind, really top of the line suicide prevention techniques that we learned with Columbia Protocol. We're really on top of it. We know when it comes to arts, you know, if our topics come up, we got to prepare our instructors, help get them to the resources they need to help them. And then with today's focus on deployment readiness, I want to highlight how our classes can be a lifeline during separation. For spouses, kids, and caregivers holding things down at home, ASAP offers a space to express, decompress, and reconnect. And the magic isn't in the art, it's in the people you meet along the way. If I can just plug really quick, we got several exciting opportunities coming up here in San Diego. We have an acting 6-week class starting April 2nd with a live graduation show, creative writing 4-week class, March 31st, and a comedy crash course 3-hour workshop on May 18th. You can find it all on our websites. If you find our flyers at the corner, you can find me, just scan it. If you add yourself to the newsletter, you'll get updated whenever our next classes come up. ASAP has transformed lives in DC, Hampton Roads, and Indianapolis, and we're building that same momentum here in San Diego. As our youngest chapter, we're still growing awareness and building the kind of community that combats social isolation and help folks feel seen, heard, and known. And I bought flyers with all the info, so I'd love to connect with you if you serve families, want to refer someone, or even teach with us. And I want to thank you for welcoming me and for everything you're doing for our community.
All right, thank you. No, maybe, no. Just an example of what you were saying for parents. I had a single sailor just at an in-dock and was saying, my mom needs work, but she's not like a dependent. She's not. I said, that's her family. Where's she at? Let me get her number, find some services out in her area. She was in Ohio, So again, she needs some resume support. I can take care of that. So again, we don't turn anybody away. So if they need some help, we're gonna find a way to do it. As long as there's a will, I got the will. There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and conclude our panel. I want to say thank you to Vanessa and David and Ramiro for being here and answering all of our questions today. You guys are all amazing. Thank you for everyone being with my first time moderating the panel. I'm gonna
No, Mary, you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And thank you again for our speakers. You can sit there awkwardly in front of everybody if you'd like, or you can go back to your seats. We try to keep it fun here. We do our collaborative, but thank you so much. The knowledge that y'all have imparted, not only with the tools that you guys provide, but the personal stories. That's my big thing. The personal stories that you guys put in, of your experiences, of your family's experiences, your service member. That's the stuff that's the real kicker, because we can talk about all of this all day long, but when we don't connect it to anything personal, then it just becomes, we're not able to really connect with others that are going through a similar, if not the same situation. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. We'll go on to the next slide. All right, so this is our monthly convening lineup. So we we're already down to March. So April next month, we're going to be talking about supporting military youth to adulthood. We got some other awesome things lined up for the rest of the year. So if any of these strike your fancy, like you're like, oh, I think I would like to talk about that, or I think I would like to, participate, please let us know. You can always email us or catch me afterwards, and then we'll connect. Next slide, please. All right, so if you are not a San Diego Military Family Collaborative member, please sign up. That is the QR code. So some of the perks of being a member is that we do have, usually we'll have like a membership highlight, and you'll be able to provide like a hip pocket class or anything like that. Fleet Family Services are a member, so Vanessa was able to come up and do this class. So that's only one of the perks. Other perks are we send out events. Sometimes people will come out and reach to us and be like, hey, we need organizations to table. So because we have these organizations and memberships that we have, that my brain is not working, it just broke for a second. All right, so because we have this trusted group of members that we vet, people and organizations come to us and ask for support. So then we're able to push out vetted organizations to them to table. Next slide, please. All right, so this is your community announcement portion. So if anybody wants to talk about any programs that you have, any events, anything, if you want to talk about your organization, please raise your hand. You got 1 minute. And after this, we will connect with each other. All right, we'll go first here. All
Sorry, I got stuck on my chair. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Monica. Good morning, Rhonda. I'm with KPBS. We're a public media organization here in San Diego. And I'm here to invite you to a special event happening April 5th called Be My Neighbor Day. Some of you might remember Fred Rogers and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Some of you have little ones that watch Dance Tiger. We are excited to present this as our 3rd annual Be My Neighbor Day. Daniel Tiger and Katarina Cat will be there. Meet and greet opportunities, photo ops with them, story times. We'll have a live stage with several performers and community partners that will be entertaining the young ones. And then I think it's about over 17 different community partners, including many that are here in the room. I thought I saw Blue Star Families and United Through Reading, all there to support the Month of the Military Child and the Volunteer Appreciation Month. So it is a free event. I did bring flyers. We really would love to see both civilian and military families come together. So grab a flyer, spread the word, and I'll be sending this to you, Monica.
Morning, everyone. My name is Eric Ramirez. I'm with OneSource Warriors. I actually came here to provide you some information, but I've actually gained more information coming here than actually what I'll be able to provide to you. So we're a trade school located in Main Street, San Diego. 85% of our students are veterans. So I'm going to look to connect with some of you guys because we have a large veteran community. So OneSource Warriors is a nonprofit organization. It's the trade school for advanced manufacturing and CNC machining and welding. So our classes start April 28th. So if you have any service members or that are getting out, or if you know anybody that's looking for a career in advanced manufacturing, whether CNC machining or welding, please connect with me. I left some flyers. Thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Anybody else?
It's good to be shameless. Today I'm wearing my Team Red, White, and Blue t-shirt, and that is a group that is a nationwide nonprofit that is dedicated to help veteran service members and their families continue the wellness habits that will let them live a long and healthy life. For this group, I want to tell you about one military spouse that used to work out with us, just so you don't think we're a bunch of disgruntled jocks. This Marine Corps spouse named Jessica would show up at our hikes, pushing her 3-holder stroller with her 3 kids in. This Amazon had a 25-pound weight plate in her diaper bag, and she would go out and work with us. Now, Grandpa doesn't work out like that anymore. I go low and slow. But if you want to work out with us, please look at our app, teamredwhiteandblue.org, and work out. All our workouts are free. We partner with lots of organizations to do events together, so we don't do it all on our own. But our events are scalable, they're free, and we want to help you stay healthy.
Arm over here.
Hi, good morning. This is my first time here. My name is Alberto Melchor. I'm with New Alternatives, a local nonprofit agency. I'm here to bring information on a new program called Empowered Fathers. And it's a parenting workshop specifically designed for men, support services specifically for men. It's open to the general community. We offer a parenting workshop, a 12-session workshop. We also do education around ACEs, which is the adverse childhood experiences, and how that can impact folks' health. And again, it's just a general support group for men. So I do have flyers. I have a business card there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Georgina Garcia. I'm with Alvarado Parkway Institute, API. We are a behavioral health system. I brought up some brochures. I'll set them up over there on the table. My first time here, and so we do have a military care program for active duty members, veterans, and for their families as well. And I just want to talk to you all about the mental health and behavioral health services that we offer. So if you know anyone that needs a little bit of support with that, feel free to connect with me, contact me, please take a brochure. I'd love to connect also with you guys with the collaborative here, to also host tables, to be a vendor and partner as well, and really reach out to the community, especially those who need mental health support. So that's me. Thank you.
Just a quick question to follow up on that. Do you guys accept TRICARE? Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I'm all about the free or it's covered. We got a TRICARE shooter right here.
That's what they accept me. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bridget Farrer. I'm from Tri-West Healthcare Alliance. We are the TRICARE contractor here in the West now. Just a couple reminders. The TRICARE referral waiver has been extended for those of you who deal with TRICARE beneficiaries until April 30th. That happened yesterday. As well as for POS, which is point of services. They only have to have a referral. They do not have to have an authorization from Tri-West to go continue to care. So again, we're working on having everything streamlined. It's been very bumpy, as you all know, if you deal with us, but just know that. On another note, for deployed families, one of the best resources that I can give from TRICARE is Doctor on Demand. We have amazing telehealth resources with TRICARE. Doctor on Demand is the answer to all Murphy's Law. Because as soon as a service member leaves, somebody gets sick or cracks their head, or you're doing all kinds of things. Doctor on Demand is urgent care right over whatever screen you've got. So families can be seen over that telephone. They don't have to go anywhere, look for a babysitter, none of that. They can prescribe medication right over the phone, send it to the closest retail network pharmacy so families can drive through, pick it up. Again, it's a great resource for deployed families or any family that's TRICARE eligible. So thank you.
Hello again. So I just wanted to share this information for people who don't know if you have children or parents who have kids, service members, spouses who have children. So I'm Marjorie. I'm a school liaison. I do K through 12 education resource and referral. This is dealing with like PCS services. So if you're PCSing in or you're leaving, we get you in connection with a school liaison to your receiving duty station. This also includes your older children who have graduation requirements that they need to meet, and maybe the receiving school is not meeting them where they came from with their history class or English class and what have you. We also do post-secondary support, so that's college education or college applications, or scholarships. But for my program umbrella as a whole, I'm child and youth programs. So I just wanted to give everybody a reminder to please share with other families that even though the wait list for full-time is very long, I won't come up here and pretend and tell you a lie. We do offer hourly care. So hourly care is $8 an hour. It's drop-in care as spaces available. That's at every single CDC within Navy Region Southwest. So Monterey, Lemoore, China Lake, Fallon, El Centro, all the CDCs that are here in Metro San Diego, $8 an hour. You need only to fill out the packet once. And then once they put you in the system, all the CDCs in this area utilize the same system. As well, we also have our youth and teen centers, which offer winter camps, summer camps. They do holiday camps based on the neighborhood school around that youth center. So if those schools are having spring break, then they're offering a camp. But all children can participate who are military affiliated students, so that's DOD civilians. For the drop-in care, that's also retirees. Obviously, for full-time, it's active duty service members with a working spouse or student spouse. And then lastly, if you'd like to come and talk to me, or if you just want to take my phone number, a lot of people are not aware of MCCYN, military child care in your neighborhood. I personally use this program for my own 6-year-olds. But while the CDCs are full, or getting full or staying full, what have you, long wait list, MCCYN is a fee subsidy program. So this is through our militarychildcare.com, where you will go to enroll in full-time. You can choose your own daycare, your own preschool, your own after-school program, and then you would pay the price that you would pay if you're using the Navy or Marine Corps services. So the fee subsidy will subsidize whatever is your regular total family income. So if you're paying the CDC $600 a month, that's what you would pay an outside provider, and I believe it's up to $1,800. If that provider does not offer lunch for your child, then they will give you an additional $100. And then they also have another program which I promote, CCYH. So that's like if you want to have a nanny or an au pair in your own home, somebody you choose, then they will help subsidize that cost as well. So there are so many resources for your children. Please come and talk to me if you want to know about any of them. I'm happy to share from my own experience, or just what program knowledge I do have about the others.
Thank you so much. All right, oh, I'm walking over here. Okay. No, it's okay. It's good.
Hi, everyone. Viviana Hernandez Lee. I am also part of the Freedom Family Support Center. I am part of the EFNP program. I have 3 of my amazing colleagues here. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Back. We just wanted to make sure that you understand the multidisciplinary team that is with Freedom Family. So if you are interested in all of the different programs, this is a brochure that you're gonna refer to as liaisons. Again, we do support our service members and their families in the very detailing specific part of their service while they have a family with a special need, whether it be educational, physical, mental, medical. We are non-medical, but we do have the information on referral on point. And we can also really take care of them in the warm handoff process. So, you know, whether they're going to Japan, wherever they go, we are connecting them, making sure that even prior to getting there, they're getting the support that they need. So they, you know, while we are all trying to support, there's those specific connections that you can make here with people that have that specific need and are part of the program. Or even when you hear someone talk about, you know, just discovering that they may be benefiting from being in the EFNP program. We still find that some families didn't know that they needed support or that they had this additional support, which would unlock some additional benefits that they can tap into. So connect with one of us, and thank you so much for being here. I'm new to the council, so I'm so excited to be here and, you know, just gather together to continue to empower ourselves and support the community.
Right, I don't see any more hands, so I'm going to take this opportunity to, the last slide is basically our social media. Take this opportunity for y'all to connect with the people that you heard, that you, they stood up and they're like, ooh, that sounds interesting. Or, I mean, heck, you could be like, ooh, she looks friendly. You know, you could talk to anybody. This is your networking period.